Hey Ghosties, I'm Harley.
And I'm Candace.
And this is Haunted Through the Ages. I feel all wound up now.
Why?
From recording.
Because you terrified me with little kids trying to come and get me.
We're doing some
Catching up.
bulk batch recording right now. And
Double B. BB. It's
But
a
we
BB recording.
I did. Yes. I don't know which one's coming out first, but it was very scary. So that's all I'll say.
Listen. Y'all gotta listen. Those are the only deets you're gonna get.
Mm-hmm.
So we missed you last week. It was a rough week. Yeah, it was
Mm-hmm.
Halloween and,
Yeah, at least when
trauma.
we're recording this. It was a lot.
It was a lot. It was a week.
How was Halloween, though? We never even talked about it.
Oh, it was so fun. It was so fun. We went with Rana and Nick and the kids, and Nick's sister was there.
No fun.
Yeah, so it was a big group of us, and then the little kids, and we had a dinosaur and a Pokemon thing. Eevee, I think it's called.
Oh, never
I don't
heard
know.
of it.
Yeah, I don't know. So, and also it was a birthday party weekend, so
Yes.
I bought her a big stuffed animal which looked like what she was dressed up as.
Oh, cool.
It was not.
Oh, Mimi.
I said, "Is this Eevee?" No, Mimi. It's got the thing around the neck. So I don't know. I don't know the
just see her little
characters.
face with the disappointment of like, this lady. No idea. My gosh. Do I have to teach her everything? 'Cause I feel that's how Bubba looks at us. Like, you absolute fucking morons. How do you not know this? I'm like, dude, I don't know.
How can you figure out your life? Just figure out your life.
That's
sorry,
so
it's my mistake.
How was the party? I'm sorry we missed it.
It was fun. I opted out of climbing through the jungle gym this time, so the parents had to actually do it. Mimi was off the hook.
That's funny.
And I sat at the big people table, and caught up with adults.
Good for you. That reminds me, I don't want to forget. Sister Jen, thank you so much for the peace offering.
I did send her a screenshot of the pictures.
Oh, did you?
Text that you sent me. So.
Oh, good. Peace offerings. She's trying to get ghosts to assault me.
She's like, "You've never made her sourdough?" And I'm like, "No." In all fairness, like, I just feed my starter. Like, I ain't even cooking this shit.
That's so funny. She made us some very delicious, very beautiful. She does the designs and everything.
She's so fancy.
A beautiful sourdough loaf.
She's
and Bubba
so fancy.
Was so happy. We enjoyed our grilled cheese with it.
And also, she's got like 32 chickens now.
She got more?
Yeah, because she was like, that one's cute, and that one's cute, and
Honestly,
that one's cute.
I get that.
And then her husband and son were like, well, let's bring them all home to her. So I don't know what she plans. She doesn't eat the chickens. She's just using them for their eggs.
Does she have any of the fancy ones?
I don't know. She got a cluster of the black ones and a cluster of the red ones and then like a couple of the white ones.
Are they just
like
regular ones? You racist.
And certain ones give better eggs. I don't know. That's what she told me. And when she came down, she said, "Oh shit, I forgot all the eggs I was going to bring you." I'm like, "That's fucking rude." You don't tell people that you forgot to bring them when you live 3 hours away. You like, first of all.
Well, it was the thought that counts. She planned on it. Because I remember when my brother had a ton of chickens, and there were he had like some of the more expensive, like not out of Tractor Supply.
Like the big furry one, the big feather.
The big fancy ones with like the headdress things on their heads.
No, hers are not. Hers are mean, and she calls them bad names.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, yet here we are getting more.
Speaking of that reminded me. This had to have been last weekend. It was at some point. I literally went like 40 hours without sleep, and I was dying.
You did.
It was
you look
a
like
lot.
a fucking. I mean, did have a lot going on, and I felt my heart broke for you seeing you, and also I was just giving you your space because you looked like a fucking zombie.
I was an absolute zombie. I literally couldn't even function. But I had stuff to do at home, and I pulled Night Fury out of his tank because I'm like, poor baby was just like neglected for a few days because
It happens.
He didn't come out because we were dealing with everything else.
It happens.
So I pulled him out so he could kind of run around while I was like cleaning and stuff. I pulled him out and I put him on my arm. It reminded me of you because I said, all right, let's go do our farm chores. And he went with me and we did all of our farm chores around the house. So
these animals here, I'll tell you what. Sonar likes to lay right in the middle of the kitchen floor when I'm trying to sweep.
Oh, I love that.
And then when I squat down to scoop the litter boxes, he's right in between my legs, like judging me for taking his poop. I don't know.
Like, hey,
I just put that there.
It's mine. What are you doing? I just buried that.
You mind?
He's like, privacy.
No personal space. This kid has his on. Yeah, he's the newest one, and he doesn't understand personal space at all.
I don't know if we've shared this here, but there's photo evidence. So Bob is her big chunk. He's a big old chunk. And he has created a divot in the back of one of her couches. Just a big old divot up there. And little teeny tiny Sonar likes to go in the divot and then lay on his back with his little legs spread.
Chilling. He was just sitting there, just got his head turned, going side to side, watching Matt and I have our conversation. Like he was in the conversation. Yeah. He was a part of us. Like we just happened to look over and see him sitting there like, look at this motherfucker.
He's living his best life.
And also, so I see these videos that people post when they're trying to sleep and their cats are going ballistic. And they're like, it's AI. Cats don't do that. I'm here to tell you right now, 1,000%. I'm sitting on the couch last night, minding my business, watching TV. I got Bob next to me. No, Bob was sitting at my feet, obviously, on this pink blanket. And, and we're just chilling, watching TV. And out of nowhere comes this fucking bolt of orange.
Yeah.
Jumps up on the arm of the couch, leaps off of the top of my head, lands on top of Bob, bolts down the hallway. The fuck?
It's real. It happens, folks.
Out of nowhere. Then he comes bolting back through, slides through his little tunnel, does a 180, comes up, jumps back up on top of back into the divot cushion area, into the window, climbs up the fucking blinds. What are you doing?
It's the orange. They're nuts.
I've had an orange. He wasn't nuts.
Well, this one is. That is so funny. They're crazy.
Each one gets worse.
Well, it's been weird. It's been without little Kelly Osborne there. She'd 5 a.m. like screaming in my face, feed me, like she hasn't eaten for 6 months. And keep in mind,
she was round. She needed to keep it up.
She was a chunk too. And she would get her, like they get their wet food in the morning, but they have constant access to their dry food. They are
free
never
fed
without fucking food.
Free fed.
5 a.m. she wants her wet food. Like give it to me now or I'm going to wither away and die. I will starve to death. She did not die from starvation. I can fucking guarantee that. She was fine. So it's like so weird now because Sharon is so like she'd meow a little bit here and there.
She depended on Kelly to get the food.
But Kelly was the one where I'm like,
she's probably nudging her like, go wake her up.
And every morning I'm like, that's one of the things that's been so hard to adjust to in the morning is now it's Sharon like meow. Little meow here and there. Where Kelly, I'm like, you better get out of the kitchen. We'd fight every morning.
That's Sonar. Every morning they get wet food at night. They get their dinners, and every time I'm doing it, I got 6 bowls right there in front of me, and he can smell. And he's literally right in the center of my feet, so I can look down, and he's mew, like no, and I'm trying to move, and he moves at the same time as me. Then he gets stepped on, and I'm like. We've learned very early on having animals that we don't pick our feet up and walk around here. Yeah. We glide.
You have to. Yeah, it's like such a change now because I'm just used to arguing her and I every morning and her being under my feet, and then she'd meow at me because I stepped on her. I'm like, well, get the fuck out of the way. If you want to eat, you need to move. And she'd meow at me louder, and we would do this every morning, and now it's so quiet.
Yeah,
like,
that's what Zoe never, I don't think she ever really screamed. Oh, she did scream at me. Joey was a good screamer, but also she had tappy toes. So she'd be running all over the kitchen when I'm trying to do it.
Yeah.
And it's all you fucking hear is, get the fuck out of the kitchen.
Yes.
And you know how little them kitchens are. Like,
yeah. Yep.
Can't fucking go.
And normally when I feed her in the morning, my grandma's there because she'll get Bubba to school for me so I can go to work. And that's what she said. She was when she found out that, Kelly was gone, and who are you going to fight with in the morning? I was like, well, hell, I don't know. She puts up a fight every day. I don't know what I'm going to do. So it's very quiet during feeding times now, which is
we'll
weird.
Be on the lookout when you're ready. When you're ready for to start filling some space.
It's
because you can't replace.
Weird.
You're not replacing anything.
No,
there's no such thing as replacing an animal. You can't. Oh, I'm just going to get another one. We don't. No.
Mm-hmm.
But there's space that needs to be filled.
I definitely went back, back and forth with it, and with my mom, and just crying, and because I actually counted. I think this is like the 8th one I've done it with, between all the cats and all the dogs, and when you have to make that decision. I think I was so bonded to her more than anyone else, and this is the first time.
Is this your first animals?
I've had to make a decision.
Being grown up?
Yes.
Yeah. Your personal
like
babies.
I was there. There was only one dog when I was in like elementary school. It happened while I was at school.
Yeah.
That I wasn't there for. The rest, both of the cats growing up, and then I counted all of the dogs. I was there with them during everything. Even my mom's dogs. And I'll be there with my mom when her dogs go. Like I'm always present for it.
Yeah.
It's something I'm not one of those people that can walk away and not be there. So I'm always there. But this is the first time I had to make the call and be like,
you had to sign your name to it.
Yeah. And
Padme was my first that I had to sign my name to, and it's like I literally just okayed you to kill my cat.
Having to say, we'll do that because
I'm the person that decided my cat
that you're going to die today. But talking to the vet, she was like, it's definitely heart failure. We don't know the cause behind it, but she goes, based on the damage already done, she goes, we can do hospitalization. She'll need that either way. And then I'm like, it's like $3,000 to $4,000 just starting at hospitalization. Like, and then you feel like a fucking piece of shit. So I'm like, I can't afford $4,000 just for hospital. That's not anything else. That's just to let her stay.
To get her in the door.
And so I'm feeling like a piece of shit. And I was kind of pissed. It took the vet like a minute to finally say, because I'm like, okay, what would the result be with the hospitalization? She goes, well, then it'd be back and forth, a lot of vet visits for treatment.
No guarantee. And what kind of a life is that?
Well, then she goes, even then I'd give her maybe 6 months. Maybe fucking start with that. I already feel like an asshole.
Well, then it becomes like when we had to make those decisions, it became quality over quantity.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, I want you here because we kept Vader here a lot longer than we fought to keep him alive. Like we put him through a lot.
Yeah.
And I told Matt, like, it's your cat. You're the deciding factor. I'm not here to tell you when it's time. And he's like, I'm waiting for him to tell me. Oh, and he told him, let me tell you the sound that came out of this cat. I've never heard a fucking animal make in my life. Matt looked at him in the face and he was like, have you had enough? And the sound that came out of this cat.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, goosebumps now.
Oh, you're fine.
But yeah, so we fought and I had to tell him, I'm like, it's becoming quality over quantity. Like we're fighting to keep him here, but for what?
Like
all he does is sleep, and then we're stabbing him with more needles, and he can't use the bathroom because he's so damn dehydrated. He's barely eating. He's shriveling up to nothing. I mean, you saw Major. You saw he was bigger when you first started coming around, and then he just shrunk down to absolutely nothing. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, and that's what I had to think about even after. I'm like, even if I had the money to do it, I still wouldn't.
Yeah.
Like, she hates the vet. It's torture. Constant back in the car, getting her to have to go through it. And I compared it kind of like, because I'm such a huge believer in doctor-assisted suicide, specifically for people who are sick and dying.
Yeah.
It's like we can give our animals that grace of not having to suffer until death. And I think humans should have that same right. And it's like, why would I put her through that for 6 months just to die?
Right.
It's like, and when I was talking to my mom, she's like, based on what you told me about what she was like when you got home and found her, even versus when they actually did it, she declined.
Was she just so lethargic or?
No, when I got home and it was in the morning because I'd been gone the whole time working. And,
are you talking about it? I mean,
yeah, no, I'm okay. I'm okay. Sharon came to the kitchen, like, ready to eat. And then Kelly took a minute.
Which is not like her at all.
She screams at me to eat. Yeah. So she wasn't meowing. I'm like, that's weird. So I get their food in their bowls and I set it down and she wouldn't go near it. And she was on all fours, like hunched down with her shoulders back, and she wouldn't lift her head. So my first thought, because we've talked about it before, they've had like teeth issues. Yeah. So I'm like, does she have like a tooth? Did one pop out or something like that? So I'm trying to look, and there was a little blood in the corner of her mouth. And I'm thinking teeth.
Absolutely.
She doesn't want to eat because her tooth hurts.
She chomped down on a piece of food, fucked up her gums.
She did something. And then, so I laid with her. She wouldn't go near the food even when I pushed it towards her. And so I just laid on the floor with her, on the kitchen floor. And her breathing was really weird. And I'm like, okay, we gotta go. Yeah. So she did fight me to get in her thing, though.
I mean, she's gonna fight you to the end, like
a little bit to get in it. She didn't fight as hard as she normally does. Though.
I mean, I still don't like this. I don't feel good, but still, I don't like this.
And even on the way to the animal hospital, I was like, I had my hand over the thing, so like I was right there, and she kept like pushing her head into my hand. So it was the breathing, and she just seeing her by the time, even when they brought her into the room I was waiting in to do it, she declined so fast. My mom's like, even with treatment, she goes, I don't think she would have made it that long. So I'm like, I know I made the right choice. It just fucking sucks to do it.
Absolutely sucks.
And because she was such a big personality, the void is
huge. Gosh, yeah. The silence is deafening.
Mm-hmm. And like I talked about, I don't know which episode's coming out first, but we talked more in depth about it in my other episode we recorded, if you guys have heard that yet. But just feeling that void and then being worried about Sharon, and I definitely want to give her somebody so she's not alone and at least knows there's somebody else here with me.
Yeah, it's just something to take care of.
Yeah, going back and forth with my mom, I was like, I feel like a piece of shit, like already thinking about that.
No, but you're also trying to think of the betterment for her too, because cats aren't typically meant to be alone. Right? They don't. They do a lot more sleeping. I mean, I guess I don't know. I guess it depends on the cats, because some people argue with me like they're fine alone, but
I don't like it. Even dogs. When people are like, "Oh yeah, I have a dog," I'm like, "Just one?
Just one?
What happens when you're at work or
right
at the store? I don't want them to feel lonely." So that just
I mean, and I learned from my dad very early on. You know, anytime we left the house to do anything, the radio's on or the TV's on, something just to give. You know, so now when I leave the house, well, not anymore because now it's getting so much later in the morning, faster. So, but before, especially when Sonar first got here, you know, I'd leave the kitchen light on. I was like, "You're just gonna leave the light on? You have a problem with that?"
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and if I had a smart bulb, I could turn it off while I was at work. But no, you don't. You threw away my information on my smart bulb, and now I don't know how to download the app.
Yeah,
but yeah, so it's like it's dark in here, you know, like
when I was talking about it with her, and I was, of course, bawling my eyes out and talking about that. And I was like, I don't want to replace her. And it's like, logically, I know I'm not. That's not the situation.
Not replacement. It's healing therapy.
Yeah. And she's like, you can't, because you will never replace her. You'll just fill a hole that's there, you know.
Give Sharon some extra life.
And I think it would be good for Bubba too. So
yeah, because kittens are fun.
Yeah.
Who thought that was a good idea?
Yeah. He really, like we talked earlier, he really wants a black one. But I'm like, when the right one comes along, we'll know, regardless of gender or color or
I'm
breed,
very color specific. You know. I mean, we had long hairs. Vader was long hair, and Lord Maul was long hair. And after the way that we lost Maul, I told Matt, I said, I'll never own another long hair. I can't. Padme was a long hair. Like, I will never own another long hair because
I
feel like he choked on hair. Like, he aspirated hair because he always ate hair.
Okay.
He would eat the clumps. He was like a freaking, and he didn't have a tail. That's what made him he was the sweetest. You would have loved. He would have been the one you were stuffing in your purse. Oh. Every fucking body loved Lord Maul when he came here. He was literally the sweetest. He looked just like Toothless.
Okay.
The little dragon guy, you know, with the big old green eyes and
oh my god,
you know, and his little face. I mean, he was the cutest little thing.
Yeah.
Looked like a little bear when he was a baby because he didn't have a tail. So Dreamer called him Neebs for his little nub.
Sugar, my first one didn't have a tail either. He just had a little nub on the end.
Dreamer has one on a tater. He doesn't have a tail. Molly had a tail, but the litter got taken out by a landscaping crew.
Oh.
So he had a rough start at life. And then to lose him at 6, he was just like, we you know, just robbed.
Yeah.
For no reason. Like, he was so absolutely fine, and then he wasn't.
Kelly was 9. I didn't
even know. Like, I was sitting in the bedroom, and Matt was like, he got home from work late, and he was like, have you seen Maul? And I'm like, but what, again, like I told Matt, I'm like, it's not uncommon for them to not come out and greet me.
Right.
Because I'm always, as soon as I get home, I'm 100 miles an hour. I'm doing this. So they always just scatter because they know I'm going to step on you.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. You know, I got to scoop the litter, and I'm trying to get the fresh water and the food. And finally I went to the bedroom and sat down, and I was taking my shoes off. And then he'd gotten home, and he was home for a while, and he's like, you seen Lord Maul? And I'm like, no, but I really haven't seen many of them. Actually, I just sat down myself. You know, I've been super busy running through here like a crazy person. So immediately all of the lights come on in the house, and we've got our, you know, we're calling for him and opening closet doors because we've locked our cats in the closet before. Go in there. That's your fault.
Kelly was locked in the pantry 2 days before. Like, you hear scratching, and then she was locked in Bubba's room for like an hour. I went in and I got his clothes, and then she followed me, and I didn't know.
They've been locked in our closet. Revan got locked in there, but Sonar did too. But he was still little enough that he could go underneath the door.
Oh gosh!
All I see is this little orange head pop out from underneath the door.
Oh no! That's so
my closet just gave birth.
He was so tiny. Oh my gosh!
Revan too. I had to put a barrier underneath on the bottom of my door, I remember, because he kept sliding underneath.
Oh my gosh. That's so funny.
But so, I mean, we just, you know, and I had the flashlight, and I looked underneath the couch, and I saw him laying back in the back of the couch. I'm like, oh, there you are, thinking,
Yeah.
So Matt came in, and we pulled the couch out, and I went to grab him, and he was ice cold. Immediately, I was like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
Never in my lifetime have I ever felt that.
Yeah.
And I never want to do that again.
That's awful.
It was horrible. Like, how long was he there to be like, you know? And then Matt kind of closed his eyes and was like, what the fuck? You know, like, where are my answers? Like, and that was when I was like, no, I'm getting cameras. I'm putting cameras.
It's where it's so
even if I can't do anything, but at least I'll have some type of knowledge as to what's happening.
Yeah. Like, I don't even know when that started. I went to work that night, and she was fine. I did a head count. Everyone had food, water. She was good. Because every time when I leave, I was like, okay, I'm going to go to work now. I love you so much. Bye, mama. Bye, baby. And we do our thing. And they were literally standing by the bathroom door looking at me, and I left. And then I came home in the morning, and she was gone hours later. Like, it out of fucking nowhere. When I thought it was her tooth and I saw the little bit of blood, I even walked around the whole place, and I looked for like blood spots or if maybe
like a crime scene.
Yeah, I looked like, did she get something? Nothing.
What was the blood from? Did they say, or just from coughing? And
it might have been when I'm gonna get emotional. She was on the table, and after they did it, they left me to like say goodbye, and I picked her out.
Oh, okay.
And I held her like a baby one last time because she loved it. And there was blood all over her mouth. So it must have been something inside. But...
the tests and everything that they had to do. Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Well, and the cats, I mean, our vet told us, you know, because when we first took Vader in, when we found out he was sick, I thought he just had a clogged pooper, like he had a blockage.
Yeah.
And because he was trying to go and he was crying, and I'm like, we have to take him. Yeah. So we took him to the emergency vet. Mm-hmm. And they wanted us to follow up with our vet the next day. They gave, you know, hydrated him and everything and run some tests at our vet. And he had a spot on his stomach where he was bald. And it was coming. It was coming. It was, you know, like we saw it there, but he was like the size of a Maine Coon. Like you thought Bob was big. Lord Vader was huge.
I just said the other day, I'm like, if I could get my dream cat, I want a Maine Coon so bad.
He was the biggest cat I'd ever owned. He was a big kid.
Oh.
And so I thought maybe his stomach was dragging when he was walking. You know, he laid on his look.
Oh, God bless him.
Look, boy was thickums.
Oh. And they have shorter legs too, don't they?
Well, no, he was pretty tall. So, and I thought maybe it was just from him rubbing, you know, like he just, you know, had a dry spot, an itchy spot. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a vet, but I mean, I've seen where my cats have lost hair before in certain spots.
We've had dogs that ended up with like hot spots.
Yes, and that's where I was going. And nope, he was in kidney failure, and he was trying to heal himself.
Oh my
God! Cats are self healers. So if there's something that they're going to do, they're not going to tell you they're in pain.
Well, hell, not very well, apparently.
Nope, they're not going to tell you they're in pain. They're not going to show you any discomfort. They're just going to try and fix it. They're the masters of disguise and self-healers. Like he was trying to just heal himself because he knew something was going on.
And that's, after it happened and I'm thinking, I'm like, were there signs? Did she do anything weird? And I'm even telling the vet,
nothing you would have ever picked up.
Everything was totally normal
until it's not,
and then she was just gone.
Everything's absolutely fine.
So I was like beating myself up, like, did I leave something out? Did she get into something? Did she act weird? And I'm like, no, there was nothing.
Even with Padme showed nothing, and then all of a sudden I looked over and she was just like gasping for air, taking short breaths, and then she tried to keep going underneath the bed because when they pass away they want to be alone, and I'm like, you're not going to be alone. I'm not.
No. Which was weird with her because she didn't want to be alone. She did not. I don't know where she was hiding when I got home, but she came to the kitchen and she wouldn't leave my side.
She was letting you know something's wrong. Like something's bad. I don't get it. Something's happening.
Yeah.
Major. I mean, nothing changed other than his appetite, and he was constantly hungry. And we fed him and fed him and fed him, and he was not gaining. He was losing. And then I came home and found him in the kitchen, and just whatever was in my hands, I don't even know what I was carrying, but I just collapsed to the floor. And I kept trying to call Matt, but he was on his way home, so he didn't answer his phone. I'm like, who can I call? I can't do this by myself. Who can I call? I called Dreama, and the girls know because I don't like calling. I don't call. So if I'm calling, it's for a reason.
Right.
You know, so I called her, and immediately she's like, what's wrong? And she thought I was laughing, but I was like hyperventilating, crying.
Me too. Yeah. I called my mom.
She thought I was laughing. She's like, are you okay? And I'm like, that's me.
Yeah, same thing. Like my mom had to tell me, she's like, I can't understand what you're saying right now because I was fucking hysterical in the vet's office, just bawling.
1,000%.
Like, slow down.
It literally was like yesterday. As soon as you sent that picture, I was like, immediately, I just want to give you your space, but also I just want to spider monkey you and pull you close.
I'm trying to handle it with humor at this point.
Every day. It sucks.
It changes.
But it'll get better.
Well, now that we're both crying.
Asshole. Like my eyes aren't leaking, but my nose definitely is. So that's how I know that I'm sad.
Sorry, guys. We're both crying.
We went into a dark emotional. So
we just gave you 2 of my episodes in a row of tears and dead cats. I apologize.
But also, you guys have to understand. I don't know about. I mean, I know Harley because she has a zoo in her tiny little place there, but. I've been raised with animals my entire life, so I am in animal lover. Animals do not belong outside. They all belong inside my home.
Mm-hmm.
Which Matt still argues with me about because there's not enough room. There's plenty of room.
Oh, there's
Look around you. It's all room.
I'm going to get you 7 more. There's room for everybody.
Like, I tease him that I'm going to go to Dream and Kim's and bring home Theo because they have their little dog that I just want to fucking steal. But also my cats would eat him alive. So no, I'm not bringing home Theo. Don't get excited, ladies. But he's the cute. I don't like little dogs, but this guy has just the personality. He's so fucking sweet. Oh. The sweetest little shaky dog. He's a shaky little shit. He looks like a little old man, but he's not. He's still pretty young, but
yeah. So you guys will get Candace's episode in between this one and the other one where we'll try to keep our shit together.
Some way, somehow.
So
my TV just shut off, damn it. So
we're gonna get an extra long one today because we just talked for a long time. I apologize.
It's fine.
So I'm so excited for this one. There's so much history in this one. We're just gonna have so much fun. So we are talking about Mount Vernon, which for anyone who doesn't know what that is, it was George Washington's home and plantation.
Okay.
So most of my information I got straight from mountvernon.org. They have so much information about him and his life and the history and specifically the ghosts. They do lean into the hauntings. They're very open about the stories and what people experience. So pretty much all of it came from there. There were very few resources I had to use.
I love that. I love it when everything is just locked in on one page.
There were some things they didn't go super into detail about. So I had to Google and go to other sites to get more into, but it was a great resource. So Mount Vernon sits at 3200 Mount Vernon Memorial Highway in Mount Vernon, Virginia, putting it just outside of Washington, D.C. And like I said, it was the home of America's first president, George Washington, and it's one of the nation's most visited historical sites. So we are going to get into his history just because I found it interesting. So George was born at his family's plantation called Pope's Creek, and George's father built the plantation house in the 1720s, which, thinking about this, and then recently we did the Salem witch trials, I'm like, that was still such a difference in time. Like, George Washington feels like, oh, that was forever ago.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't even alive or a thought when that happened yet, which is just wild. So the house was destroyed by a fire about 60 years later, but the property is currently owned and operated by the National Park Service. George was born to Augustine and Mary Ball Washington at the plantation in Westmoreland, Virginia on February 22nd, 1732. His father was a leading planter in the area and served as a justice of the county court. And Augustine's first wife, Jane Butler, died in 1729, leaving him with 2 sons, Lawrence and Augustine Jr., and a daughter named Jane. When Augustine and Mary Ball got married, they went on to have 6 more children, with George being the oldest, and then Elizabeth, Samuel, John Augustine, Charles, and Mildred. Around 1734, when George would have been just 2 years old, the family moved up the Potomac River to Little Hunting Creek Plantation, which would later be named Mount Vernon. 4 years later, in 1738, they moved again to Ferry Farm, a plantation on the, oh Lord, sorry Virginians, I'm going to mess this up, Rappahannock River.
Perfect.
I think we're going to go with that. Near Fredericksburg, Virginia. And this is where George spent the majority of his childhood. Unfortunately, even according to the website, they really don't know that much about his childhood. But when he was 11, his father Augustine died and left the majority of his property to George's adult half-brothers. The income from the properties was just enough for his mother Mary to support the children. And as the oldest of her sons, George helped his mother run the Rappahannock River plantation, and it's said that this is where he really gained his work ethic. Maybe surprising to some, George never attended college or even received a formal education in his early years. His oldest half-brothers, Lawrence and Augustine Jr., attended Appleby Grammar School in England, which is fancy. But after his father's death, the family just couldn't afford that level of education, so it's believed that the rest of the children either had a private tutor or attended a local school for some time, and that was the extent of their education. George did have goals, however, and they didn't start out political or even had anything to do with the military. In addition to reading, writing, and basic legal forms, George studied geometry and trigonometry in preparation to become a surveyor. So George eventually began working as a surveyor in 1748 and completed several expeditions to the Shenandoah Valley. By the age of 20, Washington was a socially connected, well-educated, wealthy landowner. Now, this is where things get hairy. We all know what he did. It's part of the history and a huge reason that George was so wealthy and successful at the time. Like most elite Americans at the time, the Washingtons were deeply entangled in the slave trade. The vast network of the 18th century transatlantic trade involved the flow of manufactured goods from Europe, enslaved people from Africa, and raw materials from the Americas. The economy of Washington's native Virginia depended on the labor of enslaved Africans and their descendants to cultivate cash crops like tobacco, meaning that slavery was an integral part of Washington's life from an early age. This is wild. When his father died when he was 11, he inherited, at age 11, 10 enslaved people from his father.
Ugh.
He would then go on to inherit, purchase, rent, and gain control of more than 500 enslaved people at Mount Vernon and his other properties by the end of his life. When he married widow Martha Dandridge Custis in 1759, she brought 84 enslaved people to Mount Vernon as part of her dower share of her first husband's estate. But she retained life rights to these people, but did not legally own them. So while
life rights, wait.
So the estate was given to her, but the enslaved people were owned by the estate. Specifically,
so I'm still stuck on life. I have life rights over you.
Yes.
Yeah, I control you now.
Yes.
The fuck?
Crazy. So George did not have any legal ownership over these people. Those slaves specifically. Because I actually had to look into this more because I'm like, wait, okay, she owns the estate and he owns this and try to figure it all out.
Yeah, blended it together, but
because that'll be important later.
Okay.
When he really changed his opinion on slavery. So by 1799, the number of dower slaves at Mount Vernon had grown to 153 through natural increase as children inherited the status of their mother, which we also talked about in your Marie Laveau episode. So according to Mount Vernon's website, Washington's views on slavery changed over time. Economic and moral concerns led him to question slavery after the Revolutionary War, though he never lobbied publicly for abolition. Washington avoided the issue publicly, believing the bitter debates over slavery could tear apart the fragile nation. He made his most public anti-slavery statement after his death. In his will, Washington ordered that his enslaved workers be freed at his wife's death. Unfortunately, this applied to fewer than half of the people in bondage at Mount Vernon, because he had no legal say over anyone she brought in. Only the people that were
only his.
So those owned by the Custis estate were inherited by Martha Washington's grandchildren after her death. But by that point, many Washington and Custis enslaved people had married and formed families together. So some were freed because they were owned by George, but he did not legally own the others, so there was nothing he could do. So parts of families were free under him, but if they married into and had children with those who were under her, according to the website for them, separation from loved ones tainted celebrations of newfound freedom. So a lot of them opted to stay because they weren't leaving their family.
They're not leaving their family, right?
So
a mother's not walking away from her children, and a father doesn't want to leave his wife and kids. He's not leaving his
family, so they stayed together. So jumping back to when George was 20 and he was doing very well for himself, Despite all of that, Washington desired military service and received a commission in the Virginia militia in 1752. In 1753, Lieutenant Governor Dinwiddie, love that, Governor Dinwiddie of Virginia ordered a young, ambitious 21-year-old George Washington on a mission deep into the Ohio country to confront the French. Washington's account of his journey to Fort Le Boeuf and back made Major Washington a celebrity on both sides of the Atlantic. In 1754, Washington's subsequent surrender to French forces at the Battle of Fort Necessity helped to spark the French and Indian War, which was part of the imperial conflict between Great Britain and France, known as the 7 Years' War. During the French and Indian War, Washington learned many important military lessons that he would incorporate into the American Revolution. So shortly after that, George went on to marry Martha Dandridge Custis, who we all know as Martha Washington. And Martha was born on June 2nd, 1731, and was the oldest of 8 children. So her father, John, they were a very middle-class family, but despite not being super wealthy, he was well-known and respected. And as a result, Martha could expect a good marriage to a man of her own social class. But when Martha came of age, she was courted by someone at the pinnacle of Virginia planters' society. In fact, by the heir of one of the grandest fortunes in colonial Virginia. In her late teens, Martha caught the eye of Daniel Parke Custis, who was 20 years her senior. Daniel's father initially opposed the marriage because Martha's father wasn't as wealthy as he would have liked, but he finally gave his consent after meeting Martha, telling friends that he was, quote, as much enamored with her character as his son was her person. Soon after, they married on May 15th, 1750, and Martha moved into Daniel P. Custis's home called, ironically, White House, in New Kent County, Virginia. The death of Custis's father the previous November meant that Daniel Parke Custis had become one of the wealthiest men in Virginia. Like Martha's father, Custis exported tobacco, but unlike her father, the size of his holdings was immense. The wealth consisted of almost 300 slaves and over 17,500 acres of land scattered in 6 different counties. Martha's move into White House not only signaled a shift from maidenhood into marriage, but also her ascension into the highest echelon of Virginia society. And that was kind of where I was talking about in your last episode, like the high society ladies. I'm like, oh, Martha Washington, let me tell you. Martha Custis was now the mistress of her own household, and she presided over formal dinners, entertained guests, and hosted balls. These occasions facilitated and cemented the ties between Virginia's ruling families. Taking advantage of a plethora of new consumer goods available from Britain, Martha Custis furnished her house with the finest objects money could buy. Damask fabric to cover the dining room chairs, elaborate tea sets, beautiful Chinese export porcelain, and sterling silver flatware engraved with the Custis coat of arms. She wore fine clothes in the latest styles, and as a special treat, her husband ordered an expensive one-person carriage called a riding chair lined with smooth blue English cloth for Martha's riding comfort. Like, she was living her best damn life over here. Martha's first child was a son named Daniel Parke Custis, followed by a daughter, Frances Parke Custis. Although the first names were traditional family names, the children's great-grandfather had imposed a strict condition on inheritance. Only children bearing the name Parke as part of their given name would receive a portion of the family estate.
Damn.
Like, come on now. Because I was reading it and I'm like, Parke, like, it's kind of weird. Oh, yeah, I get that.
They got forced into a fucked up name.
You set those babies up.
Like, somebody's going to be like, you know what? I want my kids to be poor. Let's name her Sue.
Exactly. Exactly. Despite their distinguished lineage, neither Daniel nor Frances would reach the age of 5.
Dang.
Which is so sad. In the colonial era, childhood was the period of greatest vulnerability to death and disease, as we know. Only about 60% of children born at the time lived to the age of 20.
Oh, shit.
In 1754, Daniel died, they believe, of malaria. And then Frances, I don't know her cause of death, but she died a few years later in 1757. In the meantime, Martha gave birth to 2 more children who would become the center of her life. John Parke Custis, called Jackie, who was born in 1754, and Martha Parke Custis, called Patsy, born in 1756. Martha may well have been on track to have as many children as her mother when an unseen tragedy intervened. Just a few months after their daughter Frances had died, Martha's husband Daniel suddenly became ill. Although Martha summoned the best physicians money could buy, her husband died on July 8, 1757. By all accounts, their 7-year marriage had been a happy one, but now at the tender age of 26, Martha was left alone in the world, a widow with 2 small children to raise. But as a young, attractive, wealthy widow, Martha probably enjoyed more freedom to choose who she wanted to marry because she didn't need a man to pay her bills. At only 26, she owned nearly 300 enslaved individuals and had all the 17,500 acres of land worth more than 40,000 euro. I did the conversion.
Mm-hmm.
That is roughly $10.6 million today. She was just fucking fine.
She's good.
So because her husband had died without a will, she was the executor of his estate, and upon her death, the estate would automatically transfer to their descendants. Freed from the strictures of coverture, she had many of the same legal rights as men. She could buy and sell property, make contracts, sue, and be sued in court. Though she had these rights, she really preferred to leave financial matters to the men. She was happiest as a wife and mother and really just wanted more children. While many women married for financial stability, that wasn't a concern for Martha, so she was only willing to remarry if she fell in love. One of the many who undoubtedly heard about her availability was a young military man named George.
Oh, George.
In March of 1758, during an interlude in the fighting of the French and Indian War, Washington traveled for a visit to Williamsburg. Hearing the news about the Custis widow, he contemplated his own future and turned his mind to his marriage prospects. So George and Martha's first meeting is lost to history, but it's possible they met while Martha and Daniel Custis were married, as they had many acquaintances in common. Traveling the 35 miles from Williamsburg to Martha's home, George paid a visit to Martha on March 16, 1758. No doubt in a bid to impress her, he noted in his account records that he had left a very generous tip for Martha's household slaves. After returning for another visit on March 25th, Washington returned to his military post. Within months of these meetings, both parties began to plan a future together, and Washington began renovating and improving his home at Mount Vernon. Martha placed an order for wedding finery from London, a shipment that included brilliant purple slippers and a dress that was said to be, quote, grave, but not extravagant, nor to be mourning. Their attraction was mutual, powerful, and immediate, and Martha was charming, accomplished, and of course, wealthy. George had his own appeal. Over 6 feet, 2 inches tall, which back then, he was quite a tall fellow.
I hear that.
Compared with Martha, who only stood at 5 feet tall. She was teeny tiny. George was an imposing figure whose reputation as a military leader preceded him. So he was like hot shit. He was like the hottest of hot you could get, it sounds like. Got a tall military man. Ooh, fuck yeah. And he's got money. Ooh, George. So funny. So, like his future wife, Washington's own social status had improved as a result of an unfortunate death. After his half-brother Lawrence and Lawrence's widow died, Washington inherited Mount Vernon, a beautiful 2,000-acre estate located high above the Potomac River in northern Virginia. For her part, Martha must have believed that in George, she had found someone she could trust as well as love. Although some widows wrote legally binding premarital contracts that protected the assets that they had from their previous marriage, Martha did not. Which, bold move, girl. Bold move. For as long as she lived, Washington would have the use of Martha's widow's third, which was the land, enslaved people, and money, which would be handed down to the custodians after Martha's death. In addition, Washington would become the legal guardian of Martha's children, responsible for managing and protecting their financial affairs. So, like, they were all in. At the end of 1758...
Who thought a metal straw on a glass cup was a good idea?
I feel like we've had that issue before. I'm over here, like, trying to sip this because it's just ice now. I gave up.
Oh, that was a good idea. And it has a lid, and the lid actually would hold the straw sturdy, right? So
you would think.
You would think, yeah.
That's all right.
Nope. Didn't even put the lid on it. Like, let me grab the straw because that'll make drinking much more quiet.
That's funny.
Nope. Let you know I'm here.
At the end of 1758, Washington resigned his military commission, and the two were married on January 6th, 1759, at her new home in New Kent County. For both Marcia... God! I can't stop. Which is so frustrating because I have to say it so many times.
Martha.
I've been talking for like 3 hours. My jaw's like dead. For both Martha and George, a new era had dawned. Years later, Washington rejoined the military as a leader during the Revolutionary War, which lasted from 1775 to 1783. Moving on to 1789, the American people knew that the Articles of Confederation just were not working as a government, so they decided to elect a president. Following the first presidential election in 1789, George Washington was unanimously elected first president of the United States. With 69 electoral votes, Washington won the support from each participating state, which at the time were Connecticut, Delaware, Georgia, Maryland, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, and Virginia. New York, however, failed to field a slate of electors, and North Carolina and Rhode Island were unable to participate because they had not yet ratified the Constitution. To many, Washington was an obvious first choice for president, and as president of the Constitutional Convention, many delegates framed the role of the executive branch around his leadership. He was both a national hero and the favorite son of Virginia, the largest state at the time. So Washington ascended to the presidency with practical experience, because he served as the commander-in-chief of the Continental Army during the American Revolution. He was the hottest shit around, and they thought, this is our guy.
Mm-hmm.
Upon hearing the news of his decisive election, Washington set out for Mount Vernon to take his place in presidential history. And on April 30th, 1789, at Federal Hall in New York City, the first capital of the United States, Washington took his presidential oath in office. Though he was filled with great anxiety, Washington shared in his first inaugural address that he was assuming the role, quote, in obedience to the public summons, and he explained that the voice of my country called me. With a hand on the Bible, which was a sacred volume borrowed from a local Masonic lodge, and subsequently known as the George Washington Inaugural Bible, he swore his oath as the first president of the United States. And of course, I looked up the Bible. You can still see the Bible at the Federal Hall National Memorial in New York City.
Nice.
Which would be really cool. So he served 2 consecutive terms in office from 1789 to 1797 before returning to his beloved home, Mount Vernon, on March 15th, 1797. He immediately began months of repair because of neglect and mismanagement, and in time he was able to restore the Mount Vernon Mansion House.
I think Matt and I were just talking about him the other day, with term limits. He said, because when he was president, there weren't no such thing as term, there wasn't any such thing as term limits, but he did 2 terms and then called it quits. And pretty much every president after that just kind of followed suit. Even though there still weren't any term limits, they were like, well, he only did 8 years, so we're only going to do 8 years. Like, you know.
Doing the research, it really sounded to me he did not want to do it.
No.
He had already retired.
Yeah.
Like,
it was almost like an obligation to him.
But everyone was like, but you got us our freedom.
Yeah.
You have to be our leader.
Right.
And he's like, he loved his country so much. He's like,
all right, I'll give you guys a little bit of it.
I'll do it. But you're going to hear...
Now we've had enough. I'm going home.
And you're going to hear it right here. So the salvaging of his farms proved to be problematic. But throughout his retirement, Washington entertained local friends, former official associates, and strangers who wished to converse and see the first president, the Revolutionary War hero, and founder of the nation. In April of 1797, he penned in a letter that he was, quote, once more seated under my own vine and fig tree, and hoped to spend the remainder of my days.
Aww.
Like, he just wanted to fucking chill. He's like, look, I got freedom out here. Like, he went through it, and he's just like, let me just live.
Can I just not?
I'm tired.
You guys, I've had enough.
Washington was so intent on staying within 25 miles of Mount Vernon that he respectfully declined to attend the wedding of his nephew, Lawrence Augustine Washington. So once he was there, he's like, I'm not leaving. I'm a homebody now, forever. Washington sent much of his vast collection of paper archives on the Revolutionary War and his presidency to Mount Vernon, and he even had a letterpress delivered to make copies of his papers. The archives originally contained 30 to 40 cases of military expeditions, journals, and congressional correspondence. Washington originally planned to build a library house at Mount Vernon and had ordered bookcases for his collections. However, his eventual death prevented the building of the library. Instead, Washington's collections and the planned library would be a precursor for the modern presidential library system adopted in the 20th century, aka this was the start of the Library of Congress.
Nice.
Which we have today. Huh. Which I want to go to so bad. I'd never leave. Like, you call security, I'm not leaving. We're closing, ma'am.
I'm living here now.
I don't give a fuck. I've got a drinking fountain, I'll be fine. Like, how cool would that be to go?
Definitely living here now.
So George Washington eventually died at his home, Mount Vernon, on December 14th, 1799, at the age of 67. To many, his death was unexpected, as in the days before he was managing affairs at his properties and engaged in current events. However, he fell ill and was cared for by doctors before succumbing to the complications of an infection in his throat. In the days leading up to his death, on Thursday, December 12th, 1799, George was out on horseback supervising farming activities from late morning until about 3 in the afternoon. The weather shifted from light snow to hail and then to rain. Upon Washington's return, it was suggested that he change out of his wet riding clothes before dinner, but known for his punctuality, Washington chose to remain in his damp attire. And this is weird, but these events are speculated to contribute to the cause of Washington's death. Which I feel like that's nowadays where you go outside and they're like, get inside, you'll catch a cold.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not why people get colds in the winter.
Look.
It's because we're inside and the germs are there to spread more. And that's what actually
convince my grandma of that. I couldn't convince my grandma of that at all. If I go outside without a coat on, you're going to catch a cold. If you go outside with wet hair, you're going to catch a cold. Zip up all the way, you're going to catch a cold. No, I want you to go outside with a coat on because it's fucking cold outside, not because you're going to get sick.
Yeah.
And I have to, I would never talk to my grandma that way, good Lord. But
right.
Also, I'm just like, but you have to be in contact with a virus to catch a virus. Like, you can't just go outside and poof, you caught something.
Yeah. It's like, guys, he didn't get sick because he was in wet clothes.
He probably had something, and then just being out there already unhealthy exacerbated it. Like,
sure. Or also, just consider stress on the body.
Yeah,
he was George fucking
sick.
Washington.
He was fucking sick, and
he'd been
dealing
through a
with
life.
Horse shit and snow.
He'd been through a life. I think it was his time. My God. So anyway,
get him in a hall, so we'll call it.
Well, wait till you see what they actually do to him.
Oh.
We're gonna go through the whole night of his death because it was
traumatic.
It was really interesting, actually. So the next morning brought 3 inches of snow and a sore throat. Despite feeling unwell, Washington went to the hanging wood area on the east side of the mansion after the weather cleared.
Kind of sounds like the flu, but...
To select trees for removal by enslaved workers. Throughout the day, it was observed that Washington's voice became increasingly hoarser. Friday evening, as typical for most evenings, Washington read from the newspapers with his secretary, Tobias Lear, and his wife, Martha. Due to the increased throat irritation, Washington asked Lear to complete the reading. After retiring for the night, Washington awoke in terrible discomfort at around 2 a.m. Martha was concerned about his state and wanted to send for help. However, having just recovered from a cold herself, Washington would not allow his wife to leave the comfort of their room. When Caroline Branham, an enslaved housemaid, came to light the fire at daybreak, Martha sent for Tobias Lear, who rushed to the room. There, he found Washington in bed having difficulty breathing. Lear sent for George Rawlins, who was an overseer at Mount Vernon, who, at the request of Washington, bled him, which, for anyone that doesn't know, that is an old medical practice where people would remove blood from the body to heal sickness and disease. Lear also sent to Alexandria for Dr. James Craik, the family doctor and Washington's trusted friend and physician for 40 years. While waiting for Dr. Craik's arrival, Rawlins extracted a half pint of blood. Washington favored this treatment despite Martha's voiced concern, as he believed that it had cured him of past ailments. Washington was also given a mixture of molasses, butter, and vinegar to soothe his throat.
Ew.
Yeah, I know, right? Needs at Hall's. Molasses, butter, and vinegar.
That's like some concoction my sister would send me. Try this. Mix this together. It's great for you. I'm literally her life guinea pig.
That's so funny. Well, because you're dumb enough to keep doing it.
It's true. I'm like, is it going to work this time?
You know what? Maybe he just needed a medicine ball from Starbucks. I bet that would have fixed it.
Those would have been great.
Ugh. Gross. Guys try to torture me.
That would have been great.
Disgusting.
To get more tea, speaking of. Anyway.
Did you ever get more? Because you needed more last time, too.
No, I haven't. Because I haven't felt anything. No. So it's like, out of sight, out of mind. But I need to prepare for the winter because, I could catch a cold going outside.
Yeah. Wear your jacket. So the mixture that they gave him ended up being a little difficult to swallow.
Yeah, you think?
Well, it caused Washington to convulse and nearly suffocate. So I think physically he couldn't even swallow.
Well, his throat was probably so inflamed.
Yeah. He needed some of those antibiotics and steroids.
And a medicine ball. Definitely.
And a medicine ball.
Definitely a medicine ball.
As the morning progressed, Washington did not feel any relief, and Martha requested that Tobias Lear send for a second doctor, Dr. Gustavus Brown of Port Tobacco. Brown was a physician that Craik felt had an excellent reputation for diagnosis and moderate medicating. Dr. Craik arrived at 9 a.m, examined Washington, and produced a blister on his throat in an attempt to balance the fluids in Washington's body. Craik bled Washington a second time and ordered a solution of vinegar and sage tea prepared for gargling. At 11, Dr. Brown had not yet arrived, and Craik sent for a third physician, a definite sign that he felt the ailment was serious. At noon, an enema was administered, but there was no improvement in Washington's condition. Yeah. What do they think an enema is going to do?
I don't know. I got a tickle in my throat. No, all this throat talk.
It's going to keep up for a while. Sorry.
Why are they going in from the opposite end? It hurts up here.
Right. I don't know. We don't need to go to the ass. So then,
something through the IV would have been great.
So then Washington was bled for a fourth and final time.
They're just bleeding him dry.
Yeah. It was later reported that a total of 32 ounces of blood was extracted during the last bleeding. Some in the press criticized the practice of bloodletting used in an attempt to save Washington's life. But another conference of physicians occurred. Craik administered, a medic. I put it out because you thought it was emetic. I wrote it out phonetically, so I remembered because I wanted to tell you.
Oh, yeah.
A medic. It's a medication used to induce vomiting, though without beneficial results.
Okay.
So that's what they gave the woman from the Birdcage Theater when she poisoned herself.
Yeah. Gotcha.
That's what it is.
Okay.
Because I was like, oh, I remember that. They gave him one too. What is it? So they were trying to induce vomiting.
That makes sense then.
Despite the care and attention of 3 physicians, his beloved wife, friends, and enslaved servants, George Washington's condition worsened. At 4:30 in the afternoon, George called Martha to his bedside and asked that she bring his 2 wills from the study. After review, Washington discarded one, which Martha burned. What people would pay nowadays to get their fucking hands on that original will? I'm like, what was in that? And probably only him and Martha know. Crazy. In the final will, Washington outlined the manumission of those he enslaved after his death. Those enslaved by Martha remained so, like we discussed.
Right.
And financially contributed to educational institutions, including the Alexandria Academy. George Washington then called for Tobias Lear. Lear recorded that Washington told him, quote, "I find I am going. My breath cannot last long. I believed from the first that the disorder would prove fatal. Do you arrange and record all my late military letters and papers. Arrange my account and settle my books, as you know more about them than anyone else. And let Mr. Rawlins finish recording my other letters, which he has begun." End quote. At 5 in the afternoon, George Washington sat up from bed, dressed, and walked over to his chair. He returned to bed within 30 minutes. Craik went to him, and Lear reported that Washington said, quote, "Doctor, I die hard, but I am not afraid to go. I believed from my last attack that I should not survive it. My breath cannot last long." End quote. Soon afterward, Washington thanked all 3 doctors for their service. Craik remained in the room, and at 8 at night, more blisters and cataplasms were applied, this time to Washington's feet and legs. At 10 at night, George Washington spoke, requesting to be decently buried and to, quote, "not let my body be put in the vault in less than 3 days after I am dead." End quote. Between 10 and 11 at night on December 14th, 1799, George Washington passed away from what's believed to have been a case of acute epiglottis, a viral infection of his throat. So again, it was the virus, not the cold.
Left untreated.
Yes. He was surrounded by people who were close to him, including his wife, who sat at the foot of the bed, his friends, Dr. Craik and Tobias Lear, enslaved housemaids Caroline, Molly, and Charlotte, and his enslaved valet, Christopher Shields, who stood in the room throughout the day. In accordance to his wishes, Washington was not buried for 3 days. During that time, his body lay in a mahogany casket in the new room. On December 18th, 1799, a solemn funeral was held at Mount Vernon. A national parade for Washington was held in Philadelphia on December 26, 1799. President John Adams expressed desires to construct a marble monument to rebury Washington at the Capitol, but Martha ensured his body was not removed from the family tomb at Mount Vernon. Various members of the government made the pilgrimage to Mount Vernon to pay respects in the coming months and years. A new tomb, which was a marble vault, was constructed for George, Martha, and other members of the Washington family in 1837 at Mount Vernon. In the decades following his death, monuments were erected around the country in his honor. Despite the rejection of a monument to physically entomb the former president in the Capitol, the Washington Monument was dedicated to his legacy, which became open to the public in 1888. So, like I mentioned, George didn't want to be buried until he was deceased at least 3 days. And that's because in the 18th century, without modern technology, I think even now I kind of feel this, there was more concern about burying someone who was not actually dead, which is my biggest fear. I know legally we can't do this, but I'm like, I want you to smell decay before you do something with my body. Like, that fucking freaks me out. Like, you need to know I am dead before you bury me, burn me. I don't care. Make sure I am gone, please. Because that freaks me out.
So, I mean, I don't really know the medication timeline, but did they not have antibiotics? around back then? Or?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
No, because this was 1799. I don't think there was any sort of...
I mean, I couldn't even think about when they finally discovered antibiotics, but obviously it wasn't done then.
Damn. No. Recently. The discovery of antibiotics is generally attributed to Alexander Fleming in 1928.
No shit.
With penicillin. So very late.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy. All right.
My papa was older than penicillin. Damn.
You're older than penicillin.
That's crazy. Okay. So many people at the time knew of cases in which a seemingly dead person came back to life. Like that seemed to be kind of
that's a thing.
More common than not thing. An acquaintance of the Washingtons, a young minister's wife, recorded a story told to her by an older gentleman in the summer of 1790, relating the story of an illness he had suffered when he was 20. When, quote, the afternoon of the 9th day of his indisposition, he expired. Most of the family and even the doctors were convinced that the boy was dead, but his mother would not permit them to prepare the body for burial. Therefore, in compliance with what they believed a weakness, resulting from the depths of her sorrow, so they thought, oh, she's sad. But no. They consented that the deceased should remain for some time upon the bed of death.
The bed of death.
The body lay there through the residue of the afternoon, the ensuing evening, and through the whole of the long winter night, until the ensuing morning, the body continued an undoubted corpse. When lo, to the astonishment of numbers who waited the event, with a gentle sigh, the heart-stricken young man once more opened his eyes upon the fleeting senses of time. So he woke the fuck up. Thank God Mama had his back and did not let them take him. He lived. He told the story, so he was fine.
Stethoscopes weren't a thing then? You can't listen to somebody's heartbeat?
Well, even now, I know there's certain things the body can do where the heartbeat will get so low, even with it, you can't hear it, which is terrifying.
Yeah. He's like, boo!
That's how he woke up.
Just kidding!
Oh, man. So this is when George's buddy, William Thornton, comes into play. William was a physician trained in the best medical schools in Europe. He was also an architect who designed the Library Company of Philadelphia, the U.S. Capitol. That was me.
Sorry, I thought it was a cat.
That's all right.
I'm playing footsies with you.
I felt it.
Like, is that an animal?
No, it's me. And a number of important homes in the D.C. area, including the Octagon, Woodlawn, Tudor Place. He was appointed one of 3 commissioners for the new federal city and was named first superintendent of the U.S. Patent Office in 1802. So 20 years after Washington's death, Thornton wrote that when the former president was suffering through his fatal illness, a family member invited Thornton to Mount Vernon to see if he could help. Thornton left the estate in the fullest confidence of being able to relieve him by tracheotomy. Y'all can't hear the heartbeat, but you're going to do a tracheotomy? Okay.
Stab the man in the throat. We can't find the heartbeat,
wild.
But that's fine.
He was shocked to discover that Washington had died before his arrival and was now laid out a stiffened corpse. He said, "My feelings at that moment I cannot express. I was overwhelmed with the loss of the best friend I had on earth." But no worries. Thornton had a backup plan. He was going to bring him back to life.
Oh, I love that for him.
So I thought this went well with the haunting theme. So the weather was very cold, and Washington remained in a frozen state for several days. Thornton stated...
Because he didn't wear a jacket.
It's exactly. "I proposed to attempt his restoration in the following manner. First, to thaw him in cold water.
Okay.
And then you lay him in blankets, and by degrees and by friction to give him warmth, and to put into activity the minute blood vessels, at the same time to open a passage to the lungs by the trachea, and to inflate them with air to produce an artificial respiration. And then you transfuse blood into him from a lamb." A lamb.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
We don't know blood types.
Lambs will work.
Yeah.
Okay.
If these means had been resorted to and had failed, all that could be done would have been done.
When he wakes up and goes,
So-
ah.
Instead of boo.
Sorry.
It's so funny. That was so dumb. I loved it. Oh my god. That was very clever. So clever. Oh,
That's what I do.
that was good.
Here all day, folks. Tip your server.
Instead of boo. Ah.
Ah.
Oh my gosh. So funny. Oh.
Okay.
So
Back to it.
basically the rest of it is like, he's like, well, then we've done
all
what we
of the
can do.
magic shit that didn't work because the man's
Oh my
not
gosh.
alive.
Because he said, I reasoned thus. He died by the loss of blood and the want of air. Restore these with the heat that had
Absolutely.
subsequently been deducted. And as the organization was in every aspect perfect, there was no doubt in my mind that his restoration was possible.
You know what? I believe him.
Which, what a good friend, honestly, for not knowing. Like, guys, I'll bring him back.
It's fine. Don't worry. Don't
He
worry.
needs air and blood. Give him air
That's
and
it.
blood. He'll be fine.
Warm him up. He's frozen. That's
I
why
mean,
he's so hard.
Honestly, the logic, I
Makes
get
sense.
it. I get it.
Makes sense.
He sounds like a great friend, honestly.
Nobody else is trying to bring him back.
If you go first, I'll get a lamb. It'll be fine. If I go,
And I will
find
fucking
an
buy.
animal.
That'll really fuck you up.
You could see your ghost coming back in the corner and just,
In your ear.
Oh, I will swing in the afterlife. Don't think I won't. I will.
And then I go to stand in my corner. Oh, in my rocking chair.
I'm going to need more sage. I can't with you. If anyone would screw with me, it would be you. So that was George and his life and his almost resurrection.
Quite a life and almost afterlife.
And afterlife. Well, we're going to learn about his afterlife. Now we are going into the ghosts of Mount Vernon, which we're all here for. I'm so sorry that took forever. Okay. So the Mount Vernon Ladies Association was the first national historic preservation organization, and it's still the oldest women's patriotic society in the United States. In its early years, when the ladies were at Mount Vernon, they would sleep at the mansion. And this is their account of a haunting, which this is actually from a New York World newspaper circa 1890. This article reads, of course, the most interesting of all the bedrooms is the one belonging to the immortal George, and in which he died. In it is the original four-poster bed whereon Washington passed in his last moments. Like, the bed is still in there. It's crazy. This historic chamber is haunted. Of that there would seem to be little doubt. Many people within recent years have slept in it, and they declare that they were awed by the viewless presence of the nation's first president. They deny earnestly that the notion is based on imagination. Few of these temporary occupants have been able to get any sleep. Obviously, it's one thing to see a ghost, and quite another to feel one, to be aware of the nearness of a strange and brooding specter. They all agree that Washington visits his chamber in the still watches of the night. So scary. Mrs. William Beale and a friend of hers spent a night at Mount Vernon. At their request, they were permitted to occupy Washington's bedroom. In the middle of the night, they were awakened by the sputtering of their candle. They had lighted one surreptitiously. I had to gear up to say that
You really
word.
did. That was
That was rough. And were burning it in the middle of a basin of water. Fancied they saw a spook. It went out with a noise, and they began to feel alarmed. Mrs. Beale said to her friend, "You are on the side of the bed where Washington died." The other replied, "No, I'm not. He died on your side." They were in the bed where he died. Absolutely fucking not. Finally, they decided that the question was doubtful.
They kept that?
Yes, you can go see it.
Because, I mean, when you go...
I'm
You
assuming
go.
it's different mattress and sheets
So it's just
and
a
stuff.
frame.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, it's all together now, but I would assume it's newer stuff. 'Cause
Like,
yes.
they kept it?
Why does it always stink in here?
What's
that
the smelly
stain?
side?
What's that stain over there.
Fuck bed bugs. This is a poop spot.
That would be my guess.
Not to mention, it's quite a few years old.
Yes.
Oh, gosh, she's doing the math.
Over 200 years old. Yeah. That's crazy. Finally, they decided that the question was doubtful, and there would be no more sleep for them that night. They got up, dressed themselves, and sat around until morning, scared by every squeak of the windows, and at one moment they were sure they heard Washington's sword clank distinctly in a corner. So next, we have an account of a woman who worked at the mansion in the 80s. While stationed in the central passage, which is their fancy way of saying, like, the foyer of the house, something caught her eye. She saw the figure of an unidentified woman dressed in 18th century clothing on the stairs. The figure was carrying a large punch bowl filled with a flower arrangement. The figure disappeared upon reaching the bottom of the staircase. And this is something they see all the time. I think that apparition is like on repeat because multiple people reported that. The next story comes from another employee from the 80s. She was also in the central passage on a particularly crowded summer day when she thought she heard someone in the room behind her. Thinking that a visitor had gotten into the area by going under the rope barriers, she entered the little parlor to shoo them out. Much to her surprise, she found an older gentleman sporting a large mustache and dressed in late 19th or early 20th century clothing, with his sleeves rolled up and secured with garters. When he saw that he had her attention, he shouted, "What the hell is going on here?" A reference to the noise a school group or groups were making. The interpreter told him that she was trying to quiet them down, and then the man just disappeared.
Yeah.
She later saw a portrait of the gentleman in question. He was Colonel Harrison Howell Dodge, Mount Vernon's director for about 50 years until his death in the late 1930s. Again, the same spot in the 1980s, an employee felt something brush past her, coming out of the little parlor. Nope. Looking down, all she could see were the feet and bottoms of a skirt of a young girl in an 18th century dress running across the central passage. Girl, get the fuck out of here. You have no business running through here.
No.
What? Did you think of something? No, gross.
Just blazing through. Excuse me, just passing through.
Don't do that. Don't. No. A head guard in the 80s and 90s reported that quite frequently an alarm would go off in the stable, and then an alarm would go off in the Washington bedchamber. Guards dispatched to check out the situation invariably found nothing out of the ordinary. Then it was realized that the amount of time between the two events was about what it would take to unsaddle and put up a horse and walk from the stable to the mansion. This man's explanation was that the general was coming home, made his horse comfortable, and then went up to his room. A member of Mount Vernon's security department recalls unexplainable activities in 2012. My first experience was something that I cannot explain occurred in the mansion during the early years of the candlelight tours. This event took place on the anniversary of General Washington's death around 10:30 p.m. After the house had been cleared, I locked myself in. It was my responsibility to check the alarms for their proper positioning. When I was in the mansion study, I heard a heavy set of keys being walked across the floor in the Washington bedchamber directly above. As I approached the back stairs to go to the bedroom, the sound of the keys abruptly stopped. It was well known that General Washington carried a heavy set of keys and that they could be heard as he walked through the house. Tobias Lear, the general's secretary, is known to have taken the keys from the general's pocket upon his death in order to hand them over to the enslaved manservant Christopher Shields. So the next experience says, my first encounter with a ghost occurred in the yellow room of the mansion in 2006. I was a supervisor in the history interpretation department. Supervisors clear and lock the mansion after checking and rechecking for assurance that no one has been left in the mansion after hours. After letting the last interpreter out of the study door, I walked up the back stairs, past the Washington bedchamber, and into the yellow room. I suddenly felt myself being pushed, feeling the pressure of someone's hands on the back of my shoulders. I turned to look, and no one was there. It was obvious I wasn't wanted in the yellow bedchamber. This happened several more times, and I decided I would not go back upstairs alone. I invited another interpreter to stay with me and travel the back stairs to the yellow room. Nothing happened. The next time when I was alone, I was once again pushed through the room. To keep this from being disturbed, I felt it was best that I not use the back stairs, but to remove my shoes and cross through the downstairs bedchamber to the central passage and lock the door for the evening. So just avoid it altogether.
I mean, that's what I would
like,
do.
Girl, are you fucking getting it by now? You've done this. You're not learning.
That's exactly what I would do. I'm taking the long way around.
Yeah. The next experience comes from an interpreter who worked at the house in 2006. The first time I experienced this ghost was Easter morning in 2006 when I was scheduled to open Washington's tomb. It was early and very quiet, and there was no one around. The guests had not made their way from the mansion. I stood in front of the open door, and I saw an ectoplasm in the far right corner of the tomb. When I moved, the ectoplasm moved. I watched as it became a blur in my vision, and it continued to move around. I took a photo that showed a streak of light through the blur. The second photo showed the blur. As soon as voices of the guests coming down the hill could be heard, the ectoplasm disappeared. This happened on 3 different occasions. The next one comes from a member of Mount Vernon's youth programs team. Officially, my office was located in the Teacher Resource Center of the Education Center. It was after hours and the staff had left. I gathered my coat and bag and set them on the table facing my desk. As I turned to put on my coat, I saw a female figure standing in the door of my office. Mm-mm. Don't block the only exit. Please don't do that. Don't force her to run to the corner.
Yeah, don't go to the corner.
Gosh. She was dressed in clothing from the Civil War period, and she was totally gray. Her complete body and clothing were gray.
Ew.
She stood in the doorway looking straight ahead without moving. Her stare was very stern. It happened quickly, and then she was gone. There was no doubt in my mind that Anne Pamela Cunningham, founder of the Mount Vernon Ladies Association, had been in the room. I stayed for a while, sitting quietly as I listened to the noises of cabinet doors opening and closing and hands-on history. But when I looked to see who was there, the room was empty.
Mm-mm.
No, thank you, ma'am.
No, I don't need to do that.
This one says, one night in the 2010s, a couple of security officers were driving around the Mount Vernon grounds very late at night. They saw a little girl on the path ahead of them, so they stopped suddenly.
As one would.
Ooh, then the girl appeared right next to them. They quickly spun around and drove away as fast as they could. Fuck that little girl.
They did, too.
No. We don't know if she's real or a ghost. Get the fuck out.
Pieced the fuck out.
Could have been a lost child. They're like,
quit my job.
Gone.
What would you do? First, she's like, feet's in front of you. And poof, she's next to the window.
Absolutely not. This one says, I've worked at Mount Vernon on and off since 2004. I most recently returned in January of 2017. The state was abuzz with the latest spooky story. On December 15th, 2016, some strange noises were heard coming from the 3rd floor, and there had been reports of the temperature dropping by 20 degrees. When the tale was shared with me, I was determined to see if it would happen again. It's a great choice. On December 14th, the anniversary of the general's death, I was on the 3rd floor, waiting for some haunting, but nothing happened. However, when I returned the next night, the vibe in the area had changed.
I bet it did.
Upon looking into the southwest bedchamber, I noticed an electric candle was on. That's strange, I thought. It was dark last night. Had the collections team come and turned it on? Not likely, the floor isn't open to the public. Then it hit me. George Washington died on December 14th, 1799, and the next day, Martha Washington shut up the bedroom they shared and moved to the southwest bedchamber. Apparently, she's still marking that sad day. There's also, this one's not so much a haunting, but a creature, I suppose. So,
We don't do creatures.
We're going to in this article. Here's what this article says. It's got a name. We'll get there. Police helicopters hovered with searchlights. Patrol officers on foot crouched in the woods, radios at the ready. A long May night passed quietly. The Mount Vernon monster was nowhere to be found. And the mystery that prevailed for the better part of 1797. No. I'm in the 1700s again. This is 1979. My bad.
Dyslexia.
I've been in the 1700s for so long.
You got the dyslexic.
I have the dyslexic. I actually do with numbers, but I did so good about the 1700s. 1979. So this was covered in a May 12th, 1979 article in the Washington Post. The article reads, for the last 9 months, nocturnal screaming has come from a patch of woods about 1 mile from the historic home of George Washington. Theories abounded as to the source of the screaming, which the Post described as an eerie, muted wail, like something being strangled in the shower. Residents offered differing explanations: a wild boar, really loud frogs, some guy blowing in a wine bottle, a bard or hoot owl, a broken microphone on a CB outfit, a parrot, a mouse with an amplifier, a strangled dog, the ghost of George Washington, and the ghost of George Washington's pigs. Could be anything. One resident described seeing a creature in her backyard, 6 feet tall and walking upright. Some neighborhood children. Covering your eyes is...
What makes it go away?
Sure. Go with that.
I can't see it. It can't see me.
Exactly. 6 feet tall and walking upright. Some neighborhood children captured audio of the wailing with a portable cassette recorder in the middle of the night. But despite all efforts, the Mount Vernon monster, as the mysterious creature came to be known, never revealed its secrets.
Tall man.
The mystery was never to be solved. And though the creature wasn't proven to be George Foot, never was it disproven to be.
Oh my gosh. The puns.
Now he's just out in the wilderness screeching. And this was the last story I found, which kind of freaked me out a little bit. I found this on Reddit, and it was written by somebody who claimed to be a former employee. He said, by an employee. He said, I live in the neighborhood nearby Mount Vernon Estate and Gardens. When I was 17, I began working there. Nothing fancy, just a weekend daytime dishwasher at the restaurant. One warm midsummer night, a few friends of mine, this is Nathan, Roger, and Buck, they were bored, as teenagers often are, and decided to shoulder tap This is a young guy. I'm just reading what he wrote. Get ready. Nathan, Roger, Buck, and I were bored, as teenagers often are, and decided to shoulder tap some 40 ounces from a nearby 7-Eleven. There was... Sorry, it says... That was not a problem, as there are enough homeless around to bribe into buying a handful of kids some beers. We then had the brilliant idea to drink on the estate. It was around 11 p.m. Hardly safer than a park, but definitely had a promise of fun. Most of the estate is walled or fenced off, in many places with barbed wire, but there's one wooden gate, presumably part of the original grounds, that is no problem to jump in totally unguarded. We each downed a 40, put the others into backpacks, jumped the wooden gate, and set off into the grounds. We had no problems getting through the woods or the sheep enclosures that led up to the main grounds area with George's house. Moving with the dexterity only available to drunk teenagers.
She
walked. Oh, she walked that time. She didn't run. That's hey, it's improvement.
It's baby steps.
Oh, sweet girl. Moving with the dexterity only available to drunk teenagers, we stumbled over fences and through bushes until we got to the flat lawn. We hugged the tree line, watching for security trucks that roamed the estate throughout the night. These guys were our biggest concern, as Mount Vernon is, after all, federally protected property, and we were blatantly trespassing. We booked into the southern slopes, a heavily wooden area that connected the mansion to the lower slave cabin and farm area. Following the first footpath we found, running along the slope, we made our way towards the mansion's south end. The thought of sitting on George's porch and drinking beers sounded capital. I think that's slang. Not sure. Shit, get the fuck down, Nathan hissed. The truck rumbled up another nearby path. It wasn't all that close, but we wouldn't be that hard to see. We lay along our path's side, hoping that either the truck was too wide or its driver too unconcerned to come down our path. He passed and we continued. The path opened onto a stone landing with 2 obelisks to the right and a stone structure with a metal gate to the left. George and Martha's tomb. Fucking sweet, Roger snickered. Hell yeah, it is, I responded. This seemed as good a time as any to take a pit stop. Nathan, Roger, and I fired up cigarettes while Buck fidgeted, obviously getting worried. Guys, we should probably head back. Fuck that, man. We've come this far.
Oh, boy.
I said while Nathan took a piss off the landing down the overgrown slope. Right by their fucking tomb. You're lucky he didn't show up in your face and punch you.
The disrespect.
We hastily finished smoking and continued but didn't get far. The truck was back and not far off. The guard had stopped directly between us and the mansion. We retreated back to the grassy field and decided to take the car path down to the wharf, past the slave quarters and barn, and drink there. About 200 feet down the path, turned eastward towards the water, though we were still a good half mile away. You hear that? Buck hissed. What? Nathan asked, annoyed. Are those? Buck continued. The noise was ahead of us, getting louder, closer, though still a good ways off. Fucking dogs, I almost yelled, thinking we were done for. There must have been 20 barking dogs, their yelps intercepted with shouts of thick Caribbean accents. We booked straight back through the field, through the bush buffers, and into the sheep enclosure, but on the other side this time where the sheep were. They ran in panic, and the sheepdog came after us. It almost came out of nowhere, and it was a big son of a bitch, or at least seemed so by how loud it barked. We got the fuck out and went our separate ways. A week later, I'm at work smoking a cigarette talking to some of the people who work on the estate. One of them takes care of the sheep, and I asked her in so many words how many sheepdogs they had helping with the sheep. She said, dogs. The only animals on the estate are cows, donkeys, sheep, and deer. I still work there as a waiter 6 years later and have never met a security guard, only about 20 in total, with a Caribbean accent. So I think George sent his dogs out to go get them out of there. That was it. So, to the ghost dogs. Chased them out.
Well, something needs to. I mean, they're fucking pissing on graves and shit.
Yeah, that's fine.
Assholes.
Like, George didn't need to get up. He's like, send the dogs.
The dogs.
They'll be fine. So that was Mount Vernon. I'm sorry it was so long. It's got some meaty episodes.
That was a juicy one.
Yeah, sorry. Whew. I just talked for
Good thing you're not going to talk for the rest of the night.
Nobody better fucking talk to me. So I just went for like ever. So if you guys liked it, subscribe, share it with a friend, follow us on Instagram, send us stories at hauntedthroughtheages@gmail.com. Or I had another thought too.
Oh boy.
If you guys are over on Patreon, there's all kinds of extra goodies. And since we are getting more patrons, I've been thinking about possibly posting like ideas for stories and having you guys vote or something, like things maybe we're looking into and be like, hey, what do you guys think? What do you want to hear?
That could be fun.
We're getting some more people over there. So join us for all kinds of extra goodies. And we will see you next week for Candace's episode.
Oh boy, I better do some research.
We'll be back. Bye.
Bye, guys.